Hey Joe, my name is Delaney Mullen and I am the Director of Business Development here with Precoa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking. I'm actually really excited to get to talk to you and understand your company a little bit better and what drives you forward. And so I'm really looking forward to this conversation. But I'd like to know, congratulations, you're the owner of a phenomenal company. I spoke to Jamie last week and she spoke so highly of the leadership in the company and how that is what is accredited to 20 years of success with her career. And so I just wanted to throw that out there that it sounds like you were doing great things in the industry.
Thank you. Thank you. We're proud of what we do, but I'm happy to hear that. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm always happy to share. But I really value your time. And so I understand that we have about 19 more minutes to go ahead and walk through, what's currently going on with the College Station Funeral Chapel. What y'all are looking for, what drives you forward every day, and then potentially how you could partner with Precoa to be able to continue impacting all of the lives in College Station. And so, are you still interested in learning more about what we have to offer?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, this is a little piece of Delaney Mullen, but I am big on collaboration. And so throughout this talk, I want it to be just that, a chat. And so if at any point you have a question, a concern, or you relate to something, I would love to hear that, to hopefully hear more of your voice throughout this as well. So I just wanted to put that in there, and start to build that partnership that we all look for in life. So just a key piece. But the first thing I want to do is I want to understand the business better. And so Jamie shared with me last week that the major values of the College Station Funeral Chapel are empathy and compassion over everything, which is great and which really aligns with Precoa. But what I want to know is what is accredited to the success of the funeral home and how y'all have been able to grow to be number one in the industry currently for College Station.
Yeah, a huge part of that is because we do all of our business with those core values. Something that I think has always made us stand out is the fact that we stick with the family even beyond giving them their services. So we make it a priority to have resources for our family members that we can provide to them 6 months after somebody passes, a year after somebody passes, 3 years after somebody passes. We really want every family we serve to feel like we are a constant resource to them, because at the end of the day, grief isn't something you move on from, it's something you move forward with. And so we want people to know that we're walking forward with them. And I think that that's the driving factor in everything we do, the way that we serve our families, and just making sure that they feel that compassion and that care even beyond just the funeral services.
Wow. Well, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. Thank you for sharing that. I think just hearing you say that definitely accredits to how y'all found so much success and loyalty within the area. So thank you. I would like to continue that conversation forward. You mentioned that it is really important that y'all stick with the families beyond the service for years. How are y'all able to do that? Do you have a monitoring system that's able to help you keep track of everyone coming in? What does that look like?
Yeah, we do kind of like an email series with the families after, the day after their service. We sign them up for an email service, and that kind of is our touch point with them moving forward. And if I'm being honest, we don't really track, if that family comes back or if those touch points were successful, or if that's what caused them to use us again or show up to a reunion service or anything like that. But we do kind of have that implemented of, I guess, maybe a way that we reach out to our families and continue to keep up that relationship.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like y'all are really development focused and really intentional. And that's a huge point of being able to track that for years to come. And so that's huge. Thank you for sharing. On the kind of topic of tracking, how are you as the boss able to track the growth and progress of all of your directors within the company?
Yeah, we have a system where I can see, the services that a funeral director does with a family, and they each kind of have their own individual statistics. And then all of that gets put into an overall overview of, what College Station Funeral Chapel is doing year to year, things like that. And, just kind of seeing that fluctuate through COVID and things like that has been interesting. But yeah, I mean, we have our sales tracking systems and things like that as well. So.
Awesome. Well, that's actually something that Jamie had mentioned last week, that to her, it was really important that through COVID and through the fluctuation that she did what she could to keep a bit of a 1% increase in revenue. Would you like to highlight a little bit more from the sort of that senior level, what the growth looks like and where you want to see the company at in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I was talking about this with a friend the other day, but we're just seeing a shift in cultural norms in a way. And so that's kind of affected our growth moving forward is people are more mobile. They're not local, and families have family members all over the country. And so we're seeing a decrease in the need for a burial plot or a physical space that somebody can go to. We're seeing a decrease in desire for services to get people gathered together, because oftentimes family members have to fly and it's expensive and they don't want to burden family members. And also, people are looking for the cheapest route, and people are more comfortable with cremation these days. So that's kind of affected our revenue, is an increase in cremation, aka an increase in the cheaper route, aka a smaller profit for us down the line. So that's something that we've just been trying to adjust. We're still trying to reiterate to families the importance of a service and how that affects the grieving process and the healing process moving forward. But there's some changing tides in the industry for sure.
You're telling me. We definitely understand that at Precoa. And so, I can completely relate to that. And it's hard to know what is going to happen in the next 5 years, but what we all need is for someone to walk alongside us and to choose to challenge the system every day and say, this is how we can continue to adapt and invest in our customers, because that's what this industry and wholeheartedly is, walking alongside each other. So yeah. I understand that. Last week, whenever I spoke with Jamie, she said that she would discuss with you the current amount of cases and revenue that y'all are currently seeing in the College Station area. And so if you're comfortable with it, I would like to hear what that number is that y'all are currently reaching in cases.
Yeah, as far as families we're serving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this past year, we served about 450 families. Okay. And I mean, I don't know the specific number of this year thus far, but I'd assume it's similar pace.
Okay, great. And so what I'm understanding throughout this conversation so far is that the heart is there and the passion is there, and the families are here, but there is a lack in being able to retain and follow up with those families as they do continue to move on. And then there's also a disconnect in what people are wanting right now, and learning how to continue to adapt with the changing times and make sure that the services that y'all are offering is, what those families need. Is that correct?
Yeah. I love the way you put that.
Thank you. I'm big on partnership. I want to be clear, what's successful for you is successful for these families, and that's what matters to me. Well, great. I am a big visual learner. And so if you're comfortable and okay with it, I would love to just share my screen with you for a moment and go through a little bit more about Precoa and how I see us being able to actually partner together.
Great.
Awesome. Let's see. Hopefully I don't have any computer technical difficulties. It happens to the best of us. Awesome. Do you see that?
Yes, I got it.
Great. So the first thing I want to highlight here is Precoa. Our work goes beyond selling policies. And so why I ask you about your visions is because if we're going to potentially partner, it's important that we share these same goals, right? So our values here, along with empathy and collaboration and compassion, is kindness, progression, and craftsmanship. And so I want that to be the key of our conversation, is that together, I believe we can continue to reach the market and to be able to offer them those services that they're looking for, while y'all are able to partner, with someone who is invested in the marketing side of that. So as we move forward, I want that to challenge you to keep that at the forefront of your mind, that we're a partnership who are going to do the marketing for you. Our mission, ultimately, create impactful consumer experiences. We share the same mission here. We share similar values. Our vision is to prearrange all families, and our purpose is to enrich life through meaningful connection. And so when I talk about prearranging, that goes very well into what Precoa is. I know that you're a bit familiar with Precoa, especially after your conversation with Jamie, but I do want to put more of an emphasis on how we offer that marketing tools, those lead generation tools, and we produce top of mind awareness in your community through marketing. And so some of that disconnect that y'all have had with continuing to kind of grow and develop your services for what is needed right now is where we come in. That's where we thrive and where we choose to spend most of our time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And if I'm talking your ear off, feel free to throw out any questions as we go. But we focus on pre-need. And so as you mentioned, those families are continuing to grow, and they are leaving towns due to jobs and due to our current, society we live in. And so on average, a family will stay in town for 15 years and then they leave. And so that will continue to decrease and decrease as time goes, as we've seen. And so our goal is to be able to increase the pre-need side versus the at-need side of your business, which will allow you to have positive reinforcement and which will allow you to guarantee that business in the future. And so what you mentioned is that future business is starting to decrease because so many are hard to track, right? And we don't have a system to track them. And so that's sort of our goal, is to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to back up real quick. So just to be clear, 70% think pre-planning is a good idea. 33% say that they are likely to pre-fund in the future. So Precoa is here to kind of bridge that gap for your company, for your funeral home, and be able to kind of put those pieces together. And how we do that is through our proactive model. And so that's really what I want to talk to you about for the next minute or two, is those key pieces that we were able to bring. And so the biggest is the funeral planning center are going to be doing that groundwork marketing for your company. So those questions you have, the way that you want to be able to go into the market and continue to generate that activity, our funeral planning center is able to do that for you. And so they're able to generate more leads that your directors are able to take a hold of and run with. You are building an elaborate collaborative team of people who want to invest in the community, but it can be hard to know where to send them. And that's where Precoa comes in. We have counselor recruiting.
Real quick on that, is that a call center? Are you going to be cold calling our families?
So what we will be doing is we will be taking a look at the area, and we will be sending them kind of like mailers. And so something I'll be showing you in a minute is what that process looks like, but we will be mailing them, and we'll be kind of setting that foundation of interest so that we are never putting a family in an uncomfortable situation, that we are always showing them the option and then following up. And so it takes away a bit of that that follow-up process for y'all, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the cold call is the survey, not actually a phone call.
Correct. And so our biggest goal is to keep that warmth feeling. And this is not easy. And what we want to be able to do is show these families that we are here to walk alongside them, as I told you. And the best part of this process and of us working with you with pre-need is that family member who is planning their service is able to take some of that pressure off the family, and they are able to give that family that time to heal and grow through positive reinforcement with the College Station Funeral Home. And so if they have this positive interaction from the start, they are more likely to start their healing process a little earlier. And I know that's the ultimate goal for your funeral home. Mm-hmm. We also are able to develop and mentor your directors and to be able to educate them and have them educate others on the services and what that looks like. We have varying lead generation programs. And we also have a web service, so kind of like a CRM system that's able to track. And so it can be difficult for you, I'm sure, to be sending those emails and following up and seeing how many families are staying with you. So if that's where a majority of your business is coming from, but we see a disconnect, then it might be a great idea to partner with someone who's going to be able to come in and bring you an easy to use system, who's going to walk you alongside that And that way you're able to keep up with those consumers in the long run and be able to have them know and have the details of that 3-year program. And hey, it's been 3 years, but we still think about you. And this is something that we are doing now that we weren't doing then that might be of help for you. And so Precoa is going to allow you to make that connection. There's no time stop to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part of this partnership is that you don't pay us. We are simply going to walk alongside you. For this system, you do not pay. So we are walking alongside you to impact and make a difference in the lives of College Station. And so
how does that work?
Sure. So what I have to say here is I'm going to walk you through the summary of marketing programs. And so when you partner with Precoa, you're essentially bringing on this marketing program, right? And we're going to be able to lay a lot of that groundwork and foundation. And so through this analysis that I was able to run after my conversation with Jamie, if we take a look, in a month, you'll be increasing your revenue by $95,000 annually by 1.14 million. But the overall marketing cost is $4,000 monthly. And so there's a $91,000 increase, each month through using our system, because we are able to guarantee a 10% growth in your cases each year. And so that's sort of how that comes about. And so you aren't directly paying us to come in and do this, but through this return is how we will receive sort of that partnership pay.
Okay, so that $48,000 per year isn't a cost to me.
Right.
You guys handle that?
Annual, right. So it will come through our services that we are providing. And so as those pre-need kind of deals come in, that is where our partnership with you will come. So yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then our goal is that projection rate will be able to increase and bring your pre-need rate up to 50% so that we are able to have this type of success, where we are able to increase your annual income by $1.14 million so that you are able to continue that process throughout the 3 years that you were talking about, so that you can put that money back into your consumers.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at this monthly marketing breakdown, we will send, based off of the numbers we have, 1,477 mail drops, which is something that you had asked me about earlier, is how we intend to do that. It will increase your number of leads, the number of funerals funded, essentially. So this is based off of kind of like an 8-month assumption. So I want to let you kind of look at that. The marketing costs, I want to come back to that, is $4,000 based on this $95,000 funeral value that we believe we'll be able to bring to your funeral home.
Yeah, I'm seeing on these totals with the mail drop versus number of leads generated, it seems kind of low. I mean, obviously I haven't really tracked marketing campaigns, things like that. So, I mean, I'm not sure, but you'd just think that maybe with that much mail dropped that you'd have more leads than that.
Absolutely. That's a great question. And that's something that we are continuously working on as well. And so, as you said, right now in the consumer market, it is hard to know what exactly is going to work for them. And so this is just one of those key pieces that we are utilizing to be able to generate those leads. And we are constantly looking at the data to see where it is growing. And so as we continue to move forward, being able to put more time into the follow-up with your previous customers is going to increase as well. And so although it seems like a lot of mail drops, 28 leads is 28 leads, and those are 28 families that we could be able to bring into this Precoa partnership. And so although it might not seem like a ton, that's just based off of 1,477. And if we look at how many people are in College Station and do that math, it's pretty positive once you start to escalate that number forward. And so our goal is to be able to just reach however many we can. I wanted to leave you with a testimonial, which sort of comes down to the success of another. And so Sunset increased their pre-need sales by 132% since partnering with us in 2007. And so we believe that by partnering now, we will be able to continue to move the funeral home forward and reach more in the industry. But I know that we're coming up on 20 minutes. So I would love to just kind of get a question from you and then hopefully be able to move us forward.
Yeah, I really honestly love that it seems like you guys have the same values as us, and the customer is the most important piece of it. But I think I'd be a little bit curious to see the outcome of those numbers and kind of actually how those marketing campaigns are effective to increase that.
All right, got to stop you there.